Oh, be joyful. Hey, it's Tyler. Man, I'm really looking forward to being with you guys. This Sunday, we're going to be returning to our Pathways series, examining the different disciplines and practices that we ought to be engaging in as Christians, as followers of Christ. John Mark Comer puts it in such a beautiful way when he says, these are acts as part of our apprenticeship to Christ. As Christians, as followers of Christ, we are apprentices of His. We sit at His feet. We learn from Him. We apply what we learn from Him. And this Sunday, we're going to be looking at the practice of silence and solitude. Listen, I feel like it would just be silly of me to think that I was unpacking something deeply profound by saying we live in an age of distraction. We live in an age of connectedness to a point of being problematic. That's really not news for us. I don't think I need to convince any of us of that fact. However, I think what we ought to consider as followers, as apprentices of Christ, is what silence and solitude means in our daily lives as a means to grow further in the image and likeness of Christ, our Savior. And we're going to be looking at a few different ways that plays itself out in our lives. And one of the ways is, or one of the stories we're going to be looking at is the story of Elijah in 1 Kings, starting kind of around chapter 17, going through chapter 19. Elijah has this great victory in his ministry and then is immediately kind of forced to retreat and hide himself for fear of his own life. And he goes off into the wilderness and has that kind of famous encounter with God where God sends the storm, Elijah is in the middle of a storm, but God was not in the storm. And God sends the wind, but God was not in the middle of the wind. Instead, Elijah hears God's voice in the still, small voice in the midst of all of that craziness. There was something about the solitude, the silence that he could find in that moment where he was able to connect and hear from his God in the midst of all of that chaos. I want us to kind of look at that and some other stories as we consider the role that silence and solitude plays in our life. So would you join me this Sunday at 9 or online? And I hope to see you there. Bye.